Giovanni Bovio Square, Appiani Palace. Bovio Square is one of a kind. No one has built it. It is a work of nature which has placed it in front of an impressive scenery, dotted by the Tuscan archipelago islands and by the clear and calm sea on sunny days, rough and grey in stormy days. In all cases, the view that can be seen from every side of the square is always new and fascinating. Piazza Bovio is situated on a rocky promontory jutting into the sea, geologically formed over thousands of years. Over the last 12 centuries, the human presence has caused the settlement of the roughness of the rock, without any interference that altered the shape and appearance, incidentally very similar to the geographic root of our Italy. A second imaginative vision sees the whole part of the city like a seagull in flight, with its wings spread and its neck and head reaching out to the open sea. Around the year of 1000, on the tip of the rock, it was built the military bulwark of Rocchetta to defend and control the navigation in the sea channel that separates Piombino from the Elba island. The Rocchetta was removed in the 20s of the 20th century and replaced by street furniture of the square, which was named in 1907 after the intellectual Giovanni Bovio, replacing the generic term of piazzarella. Benches were placed along the inside perimeter of the square to the tip towards the sea, which continued to be called Rocchetta in spoken language. The visitor, sitting on his favorite bench, slowly turned his head at 180 degrees and can enjoy the pleasure of the whole vision of the Tuscan archipelago, Giglio, Montecristo, Elba, Capraia, with the addition of Corsica in the distance and the nearby isles of Cepoli and Palmaiola. A curiosity, a letter dated 1749 handed down a nice name with which the rocky spur that holds Piazza Bovio was known, Spongy Soap. At the entrance of the square, it is the 14th century Appiani Palace, named after Gherardo Appiani, who chose it as its first home, when he left the power of Pisa to found the Signoria of Piombino. Over the centuries, the building was subject to many changes, but you can still see some fragments of that time, as the large portal surrounded by sandstone rafts, with its important keystone was carved at the top with the family heraldry, as the wide entrance with the adjoining porch that still preserves the columns with capitals, now unfortunately closed to block the view of the port and the channel, like the so-called dungeons, which were not places of detention or punishment, but only underground rooms to keep cool foodstuffs and anything else necessary to the daily life of the inhabitants of the palace. In the 60s of the 15th century, the Appiani left the palace to settle in the new buildings of Cittadella. Since then, the palace has been used as a residence of the collateral branches of the ruling family, as a diplomatic reception, and as a theatre of the 18th century. The French domination from 1805 to 1815 turned the palace into a penal colony, with cells for inmates located in the rooms next to the palace and facing the west, while the palace was destined for the garrison and the administration of the colony. The remaining period of the 19th century was spent in anonymity, and only in the first decade of the next century it was restored and turned into a school complex. The smaller building, adjacent to the palace and facing south, was the chapel of the palace, which remained in operation until the French period, and it is now a pleasant dining environment. The Palazzo Appiani's facade displays a large bronze in honor of the fallen in the First World. It is a work of the Florentine sculptor Raffaello Romanelli, first exposed on May 24, 1922, while the two side votive torches, also by the same artist, were added on November 4, 1924. The central painting shows two dying soldiers, one shirtless and with the rifle in his right hand, and pointing with his left hand at the Roman monuments such as Ancient Glory. You can recognize the Pantheon. The other kisses the flag, supported by the image of victory.
you.